Hey guys, so for those of you who wanted to know about Edgar Allan Poe, let me tell you why his death is so weird. Maybe you can tell me what you think happened to him. So basically, Edgar Allan Poe was found delirious. He was wearing clothes that he didn't normally wear. They didn't fit him. They were not his style. It was just, he was dressed odd. And he wasn't able to explain anything. He wasn't able to explain what happened to him. The last moments, not the last moments of his life, but I guess what happened to him that day or anything like that. And so nobody was able to find out, why was he so delirious. He spent days in the hospital, never came out of his delusions, I guess. He was never able to become coherent again. So he was found on October 3rd, and he ended up dying on October 7th. So he spent 4 days in the hospital. Like I said, he was delirious the entire time. Nobody knows exactly what happened to him. He was found outside of at Ryan's Tavern. So there's a lot of speculation that he was drunk, because that's where he was found. Joseph W. Walker found him and sent a letter to Joseph E. Snodgrass, who was an acquaintance of Poe, and this is what the letter said. It said, "Dear sir, there is a gentleman, rather the worse for wear, at Ryan's 4th Ward, Poes, who goes under the cognomen of Edgar A. Poe, and who appears in great distress. And he says he is acquainted with you, and I assure you he is in need of immediate assistance. Yours in haste, Jos W. Walker." Then later on, he claimed in the same note, he said that Poe was, quote, in a state of beastly intoxication. So, first of all, I love that description, beastly intoxication. If I ever see anybody who's super drunk, that's what I'm gonna call him. But anyway, so this Snodgrass, he was saying that he was repulsive. That's a quote. That his hair was unkempt, that his face was unwashed. He said that his eyes looked vacant. His clothes were dirty. His shoes were not polished. They were worn down at the heels. He had on an old straw hat. So all of this was just, wasn't like him. So just weird. Just out of character. So then he was sent over to Washington College Hospital, and they denied any visitors, and they kept him in this room, basically with bars on the windows, everything. It was a section of the building that was reserved for drunk people. So I think a large part of it was people just thought he was drunk. Apparently they say that he kept calling out the name Reynolds the night before he actually died, but nobody was able to figure out or identify who is this Reynolds person, where did this come from. We're still not sure. There's theories, but we don't know for sure. There's one theory that says that maybe he was recalling an encounter with a Jeremiah N. Reynolds. He was a newspaper editor and explorer, and they say that he was the inspiration, or that he might have been the inspiration for the narrative of Arthur Gordon Pym of Nantucket. And then they say there's another possibility, and a little bit, there's this other possibility that Henry R. Reynolds was one of the judges who was overseeing the 4th Ward polls at Ryan's Tavern. So he might have met Poe on that day. It was election day. So they think maybe that's who it was. And I think that might be a good theory, because this is basically where I'm headed. One of the main suspicions theories is that he was a victim of cooping. So what is cooping? Basically, it is where these like election gangs would kidnap people and put them like in this room, having them like cooped up. Was just, you know, that's where cooping came from. But they would have them like kidnapped. They would give them a lot of alcohol or beat them or both, and then force them to change clothes and all this stuff so that they could basically eventually you guys, I'm gonna have to go. That eventually they wanted these people to vote multiple times, and then after each voting, after when you would vote back in that time, you would get a free beer. So on top of whatever the gang did to him, he could have also possibly been getting more intoxicated with by voting multiple times. So, you know, this was a way of election fraud. This was common in that time. That's what would happen. So a lot of people think that that's what happened, that he just fell victim of it, that maybe you know, he was beat too hard and drank too much, that, you know, something happened in his brain. Or some people think that while he was locked up, that perhaps he was bit by a rat or something and contracted rabies, which would explain all the delirium. But I think the cooping theory is a great theory because it explains why he was wearing other people's clothes and clothes that didn't fit. So that's basically what happened. I have to go because I'm just I have to move my car. So anyway, that's basically what happened to him. What are your thoughts? What do you guys think?